What is going on, guys? Welcome to Best Basketball. Here for your basketball news and to give you some updates on what's going on in the NBA. So, if you guys are curious, it looks like the Golden State Warriors have gotten the second pick in the upcoming NBA draft for 2020. So, Mr. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and don't forget Andrew Wiggins, former number one pick, have the opportunity to ball with another potential young budding superstar. And this draft is full of, I wouldn't say top heavy, but more or less a lot of great talent, and it's just deep. A lot of people are saying that there's no basic 1-2 type of guy in the draft, where like previous years where you knew Ben Simmons was going number one, where you knew like D Rose was going number one, where you knew, I guess, like the clear-cut number one pick was going to be that guy. So like similar to when Markelle Fultz came out, you kind of knew he was going number one because he just went off during his time at Washington. Even though, let's say, like Jason Tatum should have been that number one pick because he's a baller. So the Warriors are still stacked, man. They got a deep bench. They drafted Eric Pascal, who's kind of that rookie who came off the bench, eventually started because of all those injuries, and he was dropping around 15-7, 15-6, something like that. But he was definitely a pleasant surprise for the Warriors. And then you got Wiggins coming in, who's still super young, man. People forget his greatness, that he's still like in his 20s, like 24, 25, because he came in straight out 1 year out of the NBA, out of the college ranks from Kansas. Like he came in his freshman year after playing with Joel Embiid, so he's still at 25. And they still got Steph, Klay, and Dre. So it's still got a great team coming on board. And the Warriors are basically, they took this last season to kind of take a break, I guess, because they had so many deep finals runs where they won 3 championships, 2 with KD, 1 with Steph, Klay, Dre, Iggy, and now it's like, well, they're so deep into the playoffs these past few years, it's like, dang, you probably burnt out, you know? So this season was probably, I guess, beneficiary, even though Steph broke his hand. Klay hurt himself during the last finals against the Raptors. Like, maybe the guys just needed this break. So we kind of expect them to be very full of energy and more rejuvenated and revived to come on board. So one thing too that the Warriors have been talking about is, even though they got this number 2 pick, they're thinking, well, maybe we trade it. Maybe we get a superstar like Joel. Maybe Joel comes to the league and plays ball for the Warriors, and then the Sixers end up rebuilding with Ben Simmons and that number 2 pick that the Warriors give, as well as maybe like the addition of Andrew Wiggins, because they'll need to include that salary to make sure that the salaries of Joel and Andrew Wiggins match up. And what do you guys think? Because Joel, actually, they lost to the Celtics in the bubble. You know, everyone be saying trust the process, and then they got swept. But Joel's a baller. He balls. He plays hard. Imagine Joel in the middle, right, taking up the middle, and then he got Steph. He's got Klay. He's got Draymond to bring the ball up. Wouldn't that be a dangerous combo for the Warriors? Question is though, would the Sixers trade Joel for that second pick and Wiggins? Because they got Ben Simmons, right? That's their point guard. Wiggins can't really shoot, but that dude can score. He can slash. And is there someone with that second pick that they want? You know, would they want to get that second pick? Because everyone's saying Anthony Edwards right now is going to go number 1, right? So that's probably that 2 guard that the Sixers could use to space the floor. But he might go number 1 to the Timberwolves. So do they take LaMelo? You take LaMelo Ball, but LaMelo's like kind of like Ben in the sense that LaMelo can't really shoot, but he can definitely distribute the ball, and he's like a great passer. He sees the floor, he sees it real well. So do they take LaMelo with that second pick if they do go that way? Or do they go somewhere else with that pick? who knows, man? Maybe they take a James Wiseman and they rebuild with Ben Simmons, with Wiggins and James Wiseman, because everyone's saying James Wiseman is kind of like an Anthony Davis. But you gotta keep in mind too, AD balled at Kentucky, right? So he's definitely one of those players that you kind of got to see every night, and you got to see him kind of like play every night from a big market like Kentucky, right? Because James went to Memphis, so he played for Penny Hardaway, and who's kind of like a great NBA player, and Memphis came in with like one of the top freshman recruiting classes, so everyone was comparing them to like the Fab Five. But because James was deemed ineligible, he only played like a few games, and you didn't really get to see him play. But when he did play, that dude was a monster, right? He was going off on Oregon. He had a great offensive game, and he's so extremely long that he can protect the paint. So kind of serve as a similar role to like how JaVale did when JaVale was on the Warriors, and how JaVale was like protecting the paint for the Warriors, catching a lot of lobs, going up there, grabbing it, and JaVale got a ring from that. So what do you guys think? Do the Warriors end up just keeping this pick and keeping James Wiseman with the second pick? Because I see it is that like, well, James Wiseman is like a young player that they could use to help grow, right? So say Steph, he ends up retiring, Draymond retires, Clay retires, because they're getting like in their 30s now, right? But if that happens, they keep Wiggins, they keep Pascal, they keep Wiseman. That could be a big three. Who knows? Pascal might blossom, right? Who knows? Wiggins might end up being like a great player, especially if he's in a winning culture, right? Because I really truly believe, like, wherever you are in life, maybe even in the league, like, winning cultures breed winning players, right? There are only some exceptions, like Braun, who could take a team from like nothing to championship contender year over year, right? But if you are on the Warriors, right, with Wiggins, with a great coach like Steve Kerr, maybe you build around Wiseman and Wiggins. So here's another like thought too. People are saying like, oh, if the Bucks screw up in this playoffs, what if they end up trading that 2 pick for Giannis, right? The Greek Freak comes to the Bay, like kind of like how KD came to the Bay, right? Do you guys see that? That'd be insane, man. Even though Giannis can't shoot as well as Steph, as well as KD, as well as Clay, that dude's a monster. He's 6'11", almost 7 feet. Pure muscle. Look at this man's physique. He's like, I'd say like a yoked KD, or KD just like more physical and stronger. Even though KD is pretty physical and can score, Giannis is like raw athletic ability is insane. So do you guys think that Giannis would end up going to the Warriors? Do you think Milwaukee would pull off that trade? Personally, like from my standpoint, I don't think so, man. Like Giannis is like a once in a generation talent. He loves Milwaukee. His brother Thanasis is there. And who knows, like Kostas might go there too next year if he doesn't resign with the Lakers. And you got the 3 Antetokounmpo bros, right? Like family's all there. Like what more could you ask for? But you never know, man. Like I've seen crazier things. Like when KD came to the Warriors, I never knew that was gonna be possible. Like you were just kind of like shocked. You're like, KD's with the Warriors, right? When he signed, you're like, oh my God, that's insane. And then when like DeMarcus signed with the Warriors, you're like, it was kind of like when the Infinity Wars, I guess, kind of came out. So people were saying like, oh, Thanos is like Steve Kerr, and he has all 5 Infinity Stones, which is like Steph, Clay, Draymond, KD, and DeMarcus. That's insane, man. That lineup is like literally the starting 5 of the Western Conference All-Star team. Like, and I think they really could have won that finals if they were all healthy, right? Just because, like, you gotta keep in mind DeMarcus was still injured. Clay ended up getting hurt that game. Steph was trying to carry. And then when KD came back that one game, he was just like, oh man, this is There's no stopping this man. You thought they were gonna come back from 3-1 because Kawhi had to guard KD, right? Which is cool, man. He probably hold him 25 points. But then what about Steph and Clay, right? Who's gonna stop those guys? What about DeMarcus when DeMarcus was healthy? Who's gonna stop DeMarcus, right? It's just like there's no way. But hey, the Raptors won. Props to them. Like, Kawhi is a beast. They're saying that Kawhi might be in the GOAT conversation if he ends up winning another championship, because he would be the first person to win it with 3 different teams, because he carried Toronto, he helped San Antonio, and then what if he wins with the Clippers? Shout out to him, man. But yeah, so kind of summarize this video. Warriors master plan. I guess there's kind of 3 scenarios, right? 1, they end up trading for Giannis, and they end up getting their new like big 4, which is Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Giannis. 2, they end up trading for like Joel Embiid, and they have that lineup of Steph, Clay, Draymond, Joel Embiid. That's a nasty lineup too. Or 3, they end up keeping the pick, right? And they end up drafting like James Wiseman or another superstar. But that would be probably good too. Just kind of like a future move, right? Because you still have you'll still have Steph, you'll still have Clay, you'll still have Draymond, you'll have Wiggins, and you'll have that number 2 pick who could turn into budding superstar and allow the Warriors to rebuild for the future, which is kind of what they want to do, man. I know they've always been saying that they kind of want to be like the Spurs, where they're always trying to rebuild and maintain the future, like kind of how the Spurs, even though like Tim Duncan left, they still kept winning. Like, this was the only year that they hadn't made the playoffs in like forever. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was Best Basketball. Leave a like, turn on to all subscriptions, and turn on notifications as well, because we love to show y'all good basketball, keep you updated with the future. Leave a comment below. What do you think the Warriors are going to do? Peace. Have an amazing day, guys.